Oh, Ava, just being dramatic as always. The words echoed in Dad's sun-drenched dining room, the scent of Chloe's perfect pot roast thick in the air. My stomach dropped. Sunday dinners were always a minefield, but this felt different, sharper. Chloe beamed, oblivious. Outside, roses climbed the trellis, ridiculously perfect. Inside, I was screaming. My hands trembled as I excused myself. Then a text. Records confirmed, they are yours. A small victory, maybe, just the beginning. Sound familiar? Hit like and subscribe because trust me, if you've ever felt overlooked or used, you won't want to miss how this plays out. Big twist coming, it gets so much better. 2003. Dad gave Chloe his mother's antique diamond ring upon graduation from law school, a dazzling symbol of lineage. While Chloe's finger sparkled, mine stayed bare, a constant reminder that my free spirit wasn't deemed worthy of such a precious heirloom. He brushed it off as a symbol for tradition. I just felt rejected. Years crawled by, punctuated by similar slights. Chloe sailed through law firm life, Dad beaming at every promotion. I traveled the world, a kaleidoscope of experiences, yet met with polite indifference. Such a frivolous job, Ava, Chloe would remark, the ice in her gin and tonic clinking softly. It stung. The final straw, Chloe inheriting Mom's coveted baby grand piano. I'd spent years practicing, pouring my heart into every note. Chloe couldn't play a single chord. It's an investment, Ava, Dad explained, handing over a framed photo of Mom instead. Cold logic replaced warm memories. The unfairness was suffocating. I felt like a ghost in my own family. That's when I decided to cultivate my own garden, unseen, untouched by their expectations. A digital marketing agency, born from late nights and desperate savings, became my secret soil. Every client win was a silent bloom, every successful campaign a hidden harvest. I poured all my passion into this, a world away from their judgment. My apartment, once a haven from their dismissal, transformed into a war room. Takeout boxes piled up, sleep became a luxury. Yet the thrill of each new contract fueled me. The first six-figure month was a revelation, a beacon in the darkness. No fanfare, no celebration, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing I was building something real, something mine. Then, milestone one arrived, expanding into a sleek, modern office space. It was a testament to my team's hard work and a signal to the world, my world, that we were here to stay. The second milestone, landing a major national campaign. This felt like a roar after years of whispers, a shift into high gear. The third, winning an industry award, a validation of my vision and strategy. However, back home, the narrative remained unchanged. Still flying, Ava? Dad would inquire, a hint of polite dismissal in his tone. Chloe, meanwhile, was angling for a partnership, her life a carefully constructed narrative of ambition and success. The contrast was jarring, but it fueled my resolve. One fateful Thanksgiving, the potential for revelation hung heavy in the air. I'd arrived in a new car, a sleek electric model, its price tag exceeding both Chloe's and Dad's comprehension. Chloe's eyes narrowed. A little extravagant, don't you think, Ava? She sneered as she clutched her pearl necklace. It's practical, I murmured, intentionally downplaying it. My silence was not passive, it was strategic. Not for them, not yet. The tension crackled. The carefully constructed facade remained unbroken. For now, a crisp, embossed envelope arrived. Inside, an invitation, Dad's 70th birthday bash. Black tie, country club, Chloe undoubtedly orchestrating. A wave of nausea washed over me. I stared at my reflection. No more hiding. This wasn't about proving anything to them but claiming my space. The dress was already hanging in my closet, midnight blue silk, understated power. The jewelry, simple diamond studs, a gift to myself. No more pearls of self-pity. The evening unfolded like a grotesque parody. Dad, beaming, held court, Chloe glued to his side. Smug smiles all around. I approached, an island in their self-congratulatory sea. Chloe gave me a cursory glance. Darling, you look nice. Her voice dripped with patronizing sweetness. You too, Chloe, I responded evenly. The room felt thick with unspoken words. I'd prepared, mentally rehearsing responses, shielding my vulnerabilities. Then Dad, oblivious, raised his glass. To family, to tradition, the room erupted in applause. I stood silent, a ghost at their feast. But this time I wasn't invisible, not anymore. And to Chloe, he added, his voice booming. Future partner at the firm, more applause. I took a sip of my champagne, letting the bubbles tickle my nose. The moment had arrived. Chloe turned to me, a triumphant glint in her eyes. "So Ava, still playing stewardess?" she asked, her tone laced with barely concealed mockery. I smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of my lips. "Actually, Chloe," I said, my voice calm and clear, cutting through the celebratory din, "I sold my shares in the airline 2 years ago." The room went silent. All eyes turned to me. Chloe's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of confusion. "Sold," she repeated, her voice a strained whisper. "Yes," I confirmed. "To focus on my company." I paused for effect, letting the weight of my next words settle. "Digital Edge Media, perhaps you've heard of it. We just acquired Bloom and Sterling, your firm's largest client." Chloe's face drained of all color. Her hand flew to her throat, the pearls suddenly constricting. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Dad's jaw dropped, his eyes wide with disbelief. His champagne glass shook precariously in his hand. Aunt Carol choked on her canapé, while Uncle David visibly paled. Even the cater waiter paused his rounds, transfixed. The room was a tableau of stunned silence, punctuated only by the clinking of discarded silverware. "You what?" Chloe stammered, her voice barely audible. The confidence that had defined her melted away, revealing a raw, vulnerable core. Her eyes darted around, searching for an explanation, a lifeline. None came. I simply raised my glass. "To new beginnings," I said, my gaze fixed on Chloe, "and to understanding that sometimes the quietest victories are the sweetest." I took another sip, savoring the moment. The power had shifted, the game had changed. I was finally calling the shots. The silence stretched thick and heavy. Chloe's carefully constructed world was visibly crumbling. Dad sputtered, "Ava, what is the meaning of this?" His eyes darted between Chloe's stricken face and my own, struggling to comprehend. "Just a simple business transaction, Dad," I said, maintaining eye contact with Chloe. "A strategic acquisition, nothing personal," though internally every fiber of my being vibrated with a quiet, exquisite satisfaction. Chloe found her voice, a desperate edge to it. "But David handled that account. He said everything was fine." She turned to Dad, pleading. "Didn't he, Dad?" Dad's face was a mask of confusion and dawning horror. "David, I don't understand." He looked from Chloe to me, the color draining from his face. I decided to cut the charade. "Perhaps you should ask David about the notes he was taking on my flights, Chloe, or the surrogacy clinic using my medical records." I watched her eyes widen, her carefully constructed facade of innocence finally cracking. "You laughed then, you're not laughing now." "You can't possibly believe," Chloe began, but the words died in her throat. The truth, however ugly, was undeniable. Her shoulders slumped as she let out a sob. Dad stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Ava, is this true, about the surrogacy?" He looked at me with pleading eyes, begging me to deny it. I met his gaze, unwavering. "Ask Chloe, Dad, ask her and David why they thought they had the right to make decisions about my body, my life." I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. "Family isn't DNA, Dad, it's respect, something you and Chloe seem to have forgotten." Chloe looked up, eyes swimming with tears. "Ava, please, I was desperate," she pleaded. "David pressured me, we just wanted a family." "Desperation doesn't excuse betrayal, Chloe," I responded, my voice devoid of emotion. "And it certainly doesn't excuse breaking the law." I knew that a part of her was a victim, but I couldn't forgive her complicity. Then she tried a different tactic. "Ava, you always were the smart one. You can help us fix this if you want. I know David wasn't right, but we can still work together." She continued, "I can offer you anything." "Can you really?" I asked rhetorically, turning to leave. "Because the last time I checked, the one with all the money was me." I turned back, a small, almost pitying smile playing on my lips. "Consider this my version of a family plan, Chloe. I am taking back control over my own life, and you are going to deal with the consequences of your actions." The color drained from Chloe's face further, leaving her looking gaunt. Dad stared, speechless. The room felt suffocating, the celebratory atmosphere replaced by a chilling dread. Suddenly, a wave of nausea washed over Chloe, and she bolted toward the restroom, leaving Dad and me standing in the shocked silence. My work here was done. I signaled to Mark, who was standing near the bar, and we began to make our exit as planned. "Ava, wait," Dad's voice cracked as he hurried after us. There's more to this, isn't there?" I paused, turning to face him. His eyes, usually so sharp, were clouded with confusion and a dawning sense of unease. He was only beginning to understand the depths of my preparation. "Always, Dad," I replied softly, drawing out the word. There's always more. He reeled, grasping for the back of a nearby chair. My agency wasn't just a successful business, it was a carefully constructed instrument. This was a level of power they hadn't anticipated. I elaborated, calm and factual. Remember how you were so proud of Chloe's strategic planning, her meticulous attention to detail? Well, I've been doing a little strategic planning of my own, for years actually. A tremor ran through his body. What are you talking about? He stammered. I paused for effect, letting the weight of my next words settle. It's called beneficial ownership, Dad. It's a way of controlling a company without directly owning it. Dad's face was a mask of incomprehension. I don't. I continued. Bloom and Sterling's largest client, Digital Edge Media, is partially invested in the company's building, including the office building and its real estate. I leveraged a convertible note from years ago. Remember when I said I'd put all my savings into it? It was a promise to invest into the company's well-being. Now, with all their shady dealings and the scandal that is about to break, the value of my shares in the building is plummeting. His face contorted. The building, but Chloe was counting on. His voice trailed off, the realization dawning. He understood now. The building wasn't just an asset, it was the foundation of Chloe's future, her career, her status within the firm. And I held the key. The color drained from his face, leaving him looking ashen. He stumbled backward, his hand clutching at his chest. The shock was almost comical. I'd weaponized their values, their ambitions, their very sense of self-worth. He was beginning to understand the extent of his misjudgment. He finally understood how deep my roots ran. The building is under my control, Dad, I said, my voice gentle but firm. And frankly, given everything that's happened, I'm not sure Bloom and Sterling is a tenant I want to keep. It's bad for my brand, I'm cutting ties. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. The implications were devastating. Bloom and Sterling without their anchor client, without their prime location, it was a death knell. His eyes narrowed, a flicker of understanding replacing the shock. You planned this, didn't you? He whispered. All of it, the surrogacy, David's behavior, you used it all. I smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of my lips. I simply created an exit strategy, Dad, one where I come out on top. Years passed. Chloe, chastened, sought reconnection, but Ava kept her at arm's length, selectively responding to texts. Dad attempted reconciliation, but Ava enforced firm boundaries, protecting her hard-won peace. The sting of past wrongs faded, replaced by a quiet strength. Her agency thrived, a testament to her resilience. Ava bought a loft downtown, filled with light and art, a space that reflected her vibrant spirit. Gone were the cramped apartment and the shadow of familial disapproval. She started painting again, rediscovering a joy that had been buried for too long. Looking back, Ava understood that her worth wasn't tied to their approval. The pearl earrings, the piano, the ring, they were just symbols, empty gestures compared to the wealth she had built within herself. Her body healed. In the end, Ava saw her reflection, scarred perhaps but undeniably powerful, finally free to define her own family and future. Ready to rewrite your story? Share your own tale of resilience, spark a movement, and show 'em success is the best revenge. What are you waiting for?